Hey, it's Bjorn from Higher Learning Lab. In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know to work with layers on a day-to-day basis. So we already have my Photoshop open here, and the layers, I have a layers tab up at the top. If you don't see a layers tab anywhere, go to Window in the main menu and then make sure layers is checked. And your configuration of these panels may look different because you can move stuff around wherever you want, you can attach it wherever you want. So it may look different. So don't worry about it looking different, just make sure you have a tab that is called layers, because that is where our layers will be. And in order to actually be able to use the layers tab, we have to create a new document. So I'm just going to go to File, New. Just going to keep all the settings that I have in here. I'm going to call this layers playground and click on OK to create the document, and we have our first layer. It auto creates a background layer based on the settings you choose actually in the create new document. I'm going to show you that again really quick. Go to new, and here background contents are set to white. You can make it the background color, which chooses the color from the background palette on the left, or you can make it transparent. And I'm just going to click on cancel. So we have our first layer here, but it's locked. To unlock that layer, double click on it and then click on OK. And that unlocks the layer. You may need to unlock the layer in case you choose a white background but you don't want one. Then you can just delete that layer and have a transparent image. To make a new layer, make sure you can see this down here. To make a new layer, you just have to click on this little icon, looks like a page that's being turned over. If you click on that, it creates a new layer. You can create as many layers as you want. And to rename a layer, double click on it and type in the name of the layer. I'm just call this the top layer. Call this one the middle layer. And call this one the bottom layer or background. Now these layers in the middle, I don't want them. To highlight them all, you click on one of them at either the top or the bottom and hold Shift to click the top one, or you can hold down Control or Command on a Mac to pick individual layers and select them. And if you don't want them, you can just click and hold and drag them down to the little trash can down here, and those layers are now gone. And the cool thing with layers is we can draw on them, obviously. I'm going to draw this on this one, and I'm going to change the color to red, go to the top layer, and I'm going to draw another something or other. Beautiful. The cool thing is we can turn layers off and on by using or clicking on the little eyeball on the left of the layer, which means that when you're working on a multi-layered project, you can turn layers off and on depending on what you need to see or what you don't need to see. What is also important to note is that the order of layers on the right-hand side is the order they are stacked from bottom to top, or top to bottom depending on which way you're looking at it. But the bottom layer here is at the bottom. If we click and hold and drag that above the middle layer, we saw the black lines disappear because they're now behind our bottom layer, which is colored white. Move it right to the top, everything's gone. So the order of the layers on the right-hand side determines the order they're stacked in the actual viewing area. And we can actually click on a layer like this and change the opacity if we want. By clicking that drop down, we can either enter a number, say the number 60, or we can click on the drop down and move this little triangle back and forth to pick an opacity. And it does what you think it does. It makes the layer more or less transparent. And then you can see the layers below it. And that's the basics of how to work with layers in Photoshop. I use layers for everything. It takes a bit of practice to get used to them, but there's a lot of times where everything I add to an image is on a different layer because then it's easier to remove. For example, if you were working on a photograph and you were doing changes to the original photograph, you'd want to save the original, copy it to a new layer, and then make the changes on that layer. And preferably you'd use a layer mask or add filters, add smart filters which don't destructively enhance the image, meaning that you can revert back to the original without losing any data. Whereas there's destructive ways to work with an image as well by using something like the eraser tool or the pen tool right on the original layer. Then you have to reopen the original photograph and start from scratch. Whereas when you use layers and smart filters, which we'll get into in a different video, you can enhance an image non-destructively, and you can revert back to the original version or an enhanced version that you had previously without any difficulty. So I hope this Photoshop tutorial helps you. My name is Bjorn Allpass from Higher Learning Lab. Please make sure you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share it on social media, and check out HigherLearningLab.com, where I write about everything tech every single day. Talk to you soon.